and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present important news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden toughens border, offers legal path for $30,000 a month. Biden intends to make his first visit to US-Mexico border. McCarthy fails again to win speakership, House stalemate says. Bomb cyclone brings damaging winds, rain to California. Eight dead in Utah murder-suicide after wife sought divorce. Biden to award Citizens Medal to 12 on January 6 anniversary. Times Square machetes, suspect wanted, jihad on police. College scam mastermind Rick Singer gets 3.5 years in prison. US pledges $30 million to Moldova hit hard by war in Ukraine. As COVID surges in China, US begins testing more travelers. Family says missing rapper Theophilus London found safe. Faithful mourn Benedict XVI at funeral presided over by Pope. Prince Harry says William attacked him during row. Kim's daughter reveal hints at prolonged family rule. Beds run out at Beijing hospital as COVID-19 spreads. EU urges pre-flight COVID-19 tests on passengers from China. Putin orders weekend truce in Ukraine. Kiev won't take part. British novelist, screenwriter Faye Weldon dies at 91. Djokovic, Shapovalov to meet in Adelaide quarterfinals. And Bill says safety Damar Hamlin showing remarkable improvement. Now news in detail. The Biden administration on Thursday said it would immediately begin turning away Cubans, Haitians and Nicaraguans who crossed the US-Mexico border illegally, a major expansion of an existing effort to stop Venezuelans attempting to enter the US. Instead, the administration will accept 30,000 people per month from the four nations for 2 years and offer the ability to legally work as long as they come legally, have eligible sponsors and pass vetting and background checks. These four affected nations are among those for whom migrant border crossings have risen most sharply, with no easy way to quickly return migrants to their home countries. Do not just show up at the border, Biden said Thursday. Stay where you are and apply legally from there. It was Biden's boldest move yet to confront spiraling arrivals at the US border with Mexico, a major change to immigration rules that will stand even if the US Supreme Court ends a Trump-era public health law that allows American authorities to turn away asylum seekers. President Joe Biden intends to visit the US-Mexico border, his first trip there since taking office, in connection with his meeting next week in Mexico City with the leaders of Mexico and Canada. "That's my intention. We are working out the details now," Biden told reporters Wednesday during a trip to Kentucky. Biden said upon his return to the White House that he hoped to see what's going on at the border and also planned to make remarks about border security on Thursday. There have been large increases in the number of migrants at the border, even as a US public health law remains in place that allows American authorities to turn away many people seeking asylum in the United States. Republican leaders have criticized the president for policies that they say are ineffective on border security, and they have questioned why he has not made a trip there yet. Pressure mounting. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy huddled privately with GOP colleagues Thursday at the Capitol after 2 days of failing to win enough votes from them to become House Speaker. He emerged determined to persuade holdouts to end the stalemate that has blighted his new GOP majority. "We are having good discussions, and I think everyone wants to find a solution," McCarthy told reporters shortly before the House was prepared to go into session again. But despite endless talks, signs of concessions, and a public spectacle unlike any other in recent political memory, the path ahead remained highly uncertain. What started as a political novelty, the first time in 100 years a nominee had not owned the gavel on the first vote, has devolved into a bitter Republican Party feud and deepening potential crisis. McCarthy is under growing pressure from restless Republicans and Democrats to find the votes he needs or step aside, so the House can open fully and get on with the business of governing. His right flank detractors appear intent on waiting him out as long as it takes. Damaging winds and heavy rains from a powerful atmospheric river pounded California on Thursday, knocking out power to tens of thousands, causing flash flooding and contributing to the deaths of at least 2 people, including a child whose home was hit by a falling tree. Officials had ordered evacuations in a high-risk coastal area where mudslides killed 23 people in 2018 as the huge storm barreled into the state Wednesday. Authorities warned residents to hunker down at home in anticipation of flooded roads, toppled trees, and other risks. It was the latest in a rapid series of atmospheric rivers, long plumes of moisture stretching far over the Pacific to hit California. This one was a pineapple express originating near Hawaii and pulled toward the west coast by a rotating area of rapidly falling air pressure known as the bomb cyclone in Sonoma County. Occidental Volunteer Fire Chief Ronald Lunardi said a child believed to be under 2 years old died Wednesday night after a tree fell on a home, the Press Democrat reported. In Fairfield, a 19-year-old woman died after her vehicle hydroplaned on a flooded road and hit a utility pole, police posted on Facebook. The storm dumped rain in parts of the San Francisco Bay Area, where the region had been under flood warnings. In Southern California, the storm was expected to peak into early Thursday, with Santa Barbara and Ventura counties likely to see the most rain, forecasters said. A southern Utah community was struggling for answers on Thursday after police found 8 people from one family, including 5 children, shot to death in the small town of Enoch. Police sent officers to check on them on Wednesday and found the family dead from gunshot wounds. Officials did not immediately say why they went to the home. "At this time, we do not believe there is a threat to the public or that there are any suspects at large," officials said in a press release, without providing details. Enoch is a small town of about 8,000 people located 245 miles south of Salt Lake City and about equally distant from Las Vegas. Enoch City Manager Rob Dodson said the community was sent reeling by news of the 8 bodies and that the deceased, all members of one family, were well known in the town. Little was immediately released to the public about the family. In most of the Utah, the predominant religion in this region is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, known widely as the Mormon Church. President Joe Biden on Friday will present the nation's second highest civilian award to 12 individuals involved in defending the Capitol during the insurrection on January 6, 2021 and safeguarding the will of American voters in the 2020 presidential election. The White House announced on Thursday that Biden will present the Presidential Citizens Medal during an East Room ceremony marking the second anniversary of the assault on the Capitol by supporters of former President Donald Trump, whose siege interrupted the congressional certification of Biden's victory. Among those being honored are 7 members of law enforcement, including a posthumous award to Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died after the attack, and an award to Officer Eugene Goodman, who was credited with directing rioters away from the Senate floor while lawmakers were evacuating the building. Also being honored are 2 other Capitol Police officers, Harry Dunn and Carolyn Edwards. Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Gonell, Metropolitan Police Department Officer Daniel Hodges, and former officer Michael Fannon. A man accused of attacking police with a machete near New York's Times Square on New Year's Eve was intent on committing a jihad against government officials and shouted Allahu Akbar before striking one officer in the head and attempting to grab another officer's gun, prosecutors said Wednesday. Trevor Bickford, who was shot by police during the confrontation, was arraigned by video from a Manhattan hospital and ordered to be held without bail. He did not enter a plea and has another court appearance scheduled for Friday. Bickford, 19 years old, of Wales, Maine, is charged with attempting to murder police officers, assault and attempted assault. If convicted, he faces a mandatory life sentence. The attack at the edge of the high security zone where throngs of revelers gathered left 3 officers injured. Assistant Manhattan District Attorney Lucy Nicholas said Bickford specifically traveled to New York from Maine in order to begin carrying out his crimes of murder of government officials, arriving in the city a few days before the attack. The mastermind of the nationwide college admissions bribery scheme that ensnared celebrities, prominent businesspeople and other parents who used their wealth and privilege to buy their kids' way into top-tier schools was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison Wednesday. The punishment for Rick Singer, 62-year-old, is the longest sentence handed down in the sprawling scandal that embarrassed some of the nation's most prestigious universities and put a spotlight on the secretive admission system already seen as rigged in favor of the rich. Prosecutors had sought 6 years behind bars, noting Singer's extensive cooperation that helped authorities unravel the entire scheme. Singer began secretly working with investigators in 2018 and recorded hundreds of phone calls and meetings that helped authorities build the case against dozens of parents, athletic coaches, and others arrested in March 2019. Those sent to prison for participating in this scheme include Full House actor Lori Loughlin, her fashion designer husband Massimo Giannulli, and Desperate Housewives star Felicity Huffman. Coaches from schools including Yale, Stanford, Georgetown, and UCLA admitted to accepting bribes. The US will provide 30 million in aid to Moldova to help the small country tackle an energy crisis and other economic hardships caused by the Kremlin's unprovoked and unjustified war against Ukraine, a US government aid agency said Thursday. The US Agency for International Development said the funds will be paid to Moldova, one of Europe's poorest countries, landlocked between Ukraine and Romania, through a World Bank Trust Fund. The country will also be reimbursed for previous electricity purchases. US aid said that as Moldova began to recover from a recent series of severe shocks, including the COVID-19 pandemic and a fourfold increase in natural gas prices, the war in Ukraine has placed its short-term economic recovery and its long-term economic prospects at risk. In a statement, the agency called the aid critical because of the war's impact. The airport testing is part of the government's early warning system for detecting new variants, which began expanding recently in the wake of a COVID-19 surge in China. With the addition of Los Angeles and Seattle, there are now 7 airports where arriving passengers can volunteer for COVID-19 tests. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention program now covers about 500 flights from at least 30 countries, including more than half from China and surrounding areas. As of Thursday, the CDC is also requiring travelers to the US from China, Hong Kong and Macau to take a COVID-19 test no more than 2 days before travel and provide a negative result before boarding a flight. And down the road, some scientists are calling for wider use of an additional strategy, screening wastewater from toilet tanks on arriving airplanes. Rapper Theophilus London has been found safe after disappearing for months, a relative announced Wednesday night. "We have found Theo. He is safe and well," the rapper's cousin, Michael Noel, posted on Instagram. "At this time, the family would love prayers and privacy. Thank you all." The post didn't provide details of where London had been found, where he had been, or why he hadn't contacted his family, which filed a missing persons report with Los Angeles police last week and asked for the public's help in finding him. London's family and friends had said they believed someone last spoke to the musician in July in Los Angeles. London, who is 35-year-old, posted prolifically on Instagram, but his last post also came in July. An LAPD news release on December 28 said London was last seen in the Skid Row area in October and his family had completely lost contact with him. Now it's time for global updates. Pope Francis joined tens of thousands of faithful in bidding farewell to Benedict XVI at a rare Requiem Mass Thursday for a dead Pope presided over by a living one, ending an unprecedented decade for the Catholic Church that was triggered by the German theologian's decision to retire. Pope Benedict XVI's coffin had been put in its resting place in the grottos beneath St. Peter's Basilica. The wooden lid on the outermost coffin was decorated with a simple metal cross, the emblem of his nearly 8-year-long papacy, and an inscription in Latin noting that he had lived 95 years, 8 months and 15 days when he died on December 31. It also recorded the date his papacy ended when he went into retirement on February 28, 2013. He was the first pontiff to retire in 600 years. Benedict's longtime secretary, German Archbishop George Ganswein, imparted a blessing after the remains were placed into a niche on the floor on Thursday. Also present for a final goodbye were the consecrated laymen who helped care for him during his retirement in a monastery in the Vatican Gardens. The Vatican says that the public will be able to visit Benedict's tomb, but not before next week, to allow for work to be completed. Prince Harry alleges in a much-anticipated new memoir that his brother Prince William lashed out and physically attacked him during a furious argument over the brothers' deteriorating relationship. The Guardian reported Thursday. The newspaper said it obtained an advance copy of the book, Spare, due to be published next week. It said Harry recounts a 2019 argument at his Kensington Palace home, in which he says William called Harry's wife, the former actress Meghan Markle, difficult, rude, and abrasive. Harry claims William grabbed his brother by the collar and ripped his necklace before knocking him down. The newspaper said, "I landed on the dog's bowl, which cracked under my back, the pieces cutting into me." The book is quoted as saying, "I lay there for a moment, dazed, then got to my feet and told him to get out." Harry says he had scrapes and bruises as a result of the tussle. William later apologized. The extract says, separately, celebrity website page 6 reported that the book alleges William and his now wife Kate encouraged Harry to wear a Nazi uniform to a costume party in 2005. Harry has repeatedly apologized and called the decision one of the biggest mistakes of his life. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's disclosure of his daughter in recent public events was likely an attempt to show his people that one of his children would one day inherit his power in what would be the country's third hereditary power transfer, South Korea's spy service told lawmakers Thursday. Kim publicly took his daughter to 3 events in the past few months: a missile launch site, a photo session with weapons scientists, and a touring of a missile facility. State media called her Kim's most beloved child, sparking outside debate over whether she is being groomed, as is here apparent, though she is believed to be around 9 or 10 years old. In a closed-door parliamentary committee meeting, the National Intelligence Service said it assessed that by taking his daughter to public places, Kim aims to show North Koreans his resolve to hold another round of hereditary power transition. Yoo Sang-bum, one of the lawmakers who attended the private NIS briefing, told reporters. Yoo cited the NIS as believing her public appearance, the first for any of Kim's children, doesn't necessarily mean she will succeed Kim. South Korean media have said that Kim has 3 children, born in 2010, 2013 and 2017, and that the first child is a son while the third is a daughter. Patients, mostly older people, lay on stretchers in hallways or took oxygen while sitting in wheelchairs as a COVID-19 outbreak stretched public health facilities' resources in China's capital, Beijing, even after its reported peak. The Chuiyongliu Hospital in the city's east was packed Thursday with newly arrived patients. Beds ran out by mid-morning, even as ambulances continued to bring more people in. Hard-pressed nurses and doctors rushed to take information and triage the most urgent cases. The crush of people seeking hospital care follows China's abandonment of its most severe pandemic restrictions last month after nearly 3 years of lockdowns, travel bans and school closures that weighed heavily on the economy and prompted unusual street protests in a country that quashes political dissent. The outbreak appears to have spread the fastest in densely populated cities first. Now authorities are concerned as it reaches smaller towns and rural areas with weaker healthcare systems. Several local governments began asking people Thursday not to make the trip home for the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday, signaling lingering worry around opening up. The European Union on Wednesday strongly encouraged its member states to impose pre-departure COVID-19 testing of passengers from China, in a move that is likely to upset Beijing and has already been criticized by the global airline industry. Following a week of talks between EU health experts, the bloc stopped short of agreeing that all 27 member states impose such a travel restriction that members like Italy, France and Spain had already implemented at a national level. Instead, it only urged nations to do so. China has already vehemently rejected such actions, warning of countermeasures if such policies were to be imposed across the bloc, even though the EU presidency said in a statement that the member states agreed on a coordinated precautionary approach. Part of the approach fell short of full agreement. In the most crucial part of the statement, it said that the member states are strongly encouraged to introduce, for all passengers departing from China to member states, the requirement for a negative COVID-19 test. On other issues, the EU said there was full agreement to have passengers wear masks when traveling to and from China and to offer advice on personal hygiene and health issues. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday ordered Moscow's armed forces to observe a 36-hour ceasefire in Ukraine this weekend for the Russian Orthodox Christmas holiday, the first such sweeping truce move in the nearly 11-month-old war. Putin did not appear to make his ceasefire order conditional on a Ukrainian agreement to follow suit, and it wasn't clear whether hostilities would actually halt on the 1,100-kilometer front line. Ukrainian officials have previously dismissed Russian peace moves as playing for time to regroup their forces and prepare for additional attacks. At various points during the war that started on February 24, Putin has ordered limited and local truces to allow evacuations of civilians or other humanitarian purposes. Thursday's order was the first time Putin directed his troops to observe a ceasefire throughout Ukraine, based on the fact that a large number of citizens professing Orthodoxy live in the combat areas. We call on the Ukrainian side to declare a ceasefire and give them the opportunity to attend services on Christmas Eve, as well as on the day of the Nativity of Christ, according to Putin's order addressed to Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and published on the Kremlin's website. British author Faye Weldon, known for her sharp wit and acerbic observations about women's experiences and sexual politics in novels including The Life and Loves of a She-Devil, has died, her family said Wednesday. She was 91. Weldon was a playwright, screenwriter, and a prolific novelist, producing 30 novels as well as short stories and plays written for television, radio, and the stage. She was one of the writers on the popular 1970s drama series Upstairs, Downstairs, receiving an award from the Writers Guild of America for the show's first episode. Much of Weldon's fiction explored issues surrounding women's relationships with men, children, parents, and each other, including the 1971 Down Among the Women and Female Friends, published in 1975. Now it's time for business news. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Top-seeded Novak Djokovic has reached the quarterfinals of the Adelaide International, where he will face Denis Shapovalov. Djokovic defeated Quentin Halys 7-6, 7-6 on Thursday, and Canadian Shapovalov beat Roman Safiullin 6-4, 6-3 to advance. Djokovic and other top players are using this event as a warm-up for the Australian Open beginning January 16. Djokovic missed the Australian Open last year because he was unvaccinated. He has been allowed to enter this year as COVID-19 restrictions have been relaxed. Djokovic lauded Haley's play in a very tight match. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin has shown what physicians treating him are calling remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours, the team announced Thursday, 3 days after the player went into cardiac arrest and had to be resuscitated on the field. While still critically ill, he has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact, the Bills said in a statement. His lungs continue to heal and he is making steady progress. Hamlin's agent, Ronald Butler, told the Associated Press that Hamlin was awake and has been able to grip the hands of family members at his hospital bedside. The developments came as the Bills were scheduled to return to practice on Thursday for the first time since Hamlin collapsed when his heart stopped after making a tackle and was rushed to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center during the first quarter of Buffalo's game against the Bengals on Monday night. Now let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jagu BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.